Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Uh, this is the series of daily yoga flows, which may be about 1 hour or 30 minutes. Today's yoga flows is more about lower body strengthening as well as stretching. It has a lot of intense stretches. You can also see in my practice the struggles I go through when I do some difficult stretches. All the stretches which I am demoing in today's flow is quite challenging for me. It might be easier for you. You might also be pro in the same practice. But I'm trying to keep the flow very natural and very raw. I've not edited anything here. So please appreciate the flow and try to practice along with the video. As you can see, to start off with, I have taken cat and cow stretches to open up my spine, to activate my spine. I'm also doing some hip circles, some side to side dynamic movements so that I can open up the sides of the trunk and the oblique muscles and the sides of the chest as well. This allows me to create more space in the muscles surrounding the lower back. Also activates my wrist and my glutes. So first I'm going to prepare the muscles, the lower parts of the muscles, working on some hamstring stretches or hip extensions, which are called as, I'm going to stretch those areas. So traditionally in Hatha Yoga series, this asana is called Triangaika Mukha Paschimottanasana. So I have sat back into one knee and one buttock, pushing my right leg into the inner knee and stretching my left leg and extending my trunk to fold forward, tucking my tail and extending my trunk to fold forward into the leg which is straight. I've done it on the left once, I've done it on the right once, and I'm going to repeat this for a couple of rounds so that I can feel more length in the muscles. I'm using the hand for the reference to tuck and to stretch right from the hip extensions so that I can feel more stretch on my hamstring muscles. So you can try these repetitions depending on how much length you can create or depending on the intensity you want to stretch with on both the sides alternatively. Grab the leg if you feel comfortable. If you're not able to reach the leg, you can always use a belt, or else you can wrap the hand below the calf muscles. So opening the hamstrings and also coming back into some strengthening practice here. You're going to come back and shift into yogic squat, which is also called traditionally as malasana or garland pose. And then I'm going to activate my hip flexors, that is quadricep muscles. So you can see my struggle. This walking, duck walking, which we call as, is not easy for me. So as I've mentioned, I'm going to keep the video completely raw and try to walk from the malasana position, trying to walk into the duck walk position. So I'm trying to push my each knee into the floor and lift the alternate knee and try to take each step slowly at one time. As much as possible, try not to use the hand. Maybe this walking technique will take some time for you to develop. So try to develop the practice. Don't immediately push hard because you must understand the proper articulation of the joints and also connect to the muscles properly. Doing slowly and gradually understanding the practice and being progressive in the practice is the best way to form the practice without any injuries and without any risks for the body. In the last round, I was able to walk few steps, and now I'm going to move back into down dog stretch. Take a couple of seconds to calm down the mind, stretch out my calf muscles. In down dog stretch, you can see all kind of variations I'm taking there. Slightly heel raise, pushing into each side of my calf muscle, and then doing some lower back spinal waves here to open up the hamstrings and the lower back more. Only if you feel safe, try to do the spinal waves in down dog stretch. It's really intense in the back and hamstrings. Then very gradually I come into the spike position where I lift the heels and elevate the buttocks more, and then slowly push the heels flat and push the chest to get more deeper stretch into down dog. Hold the stretch and try to play around in the down dog, slowly working to try and bring the feet closer to each other. So making the pose a little more into a difficult level for myself. I like to play around in each pose, stay for a longer time, explore the pose for a while. Once you've done that, you can get back into the resting position. You can take resting hero's pose, or you can also head into Vajrasana for a while. Close your eyes, calm down your mind, and just watch the breath. Next, we are going to head into Supta Virasana, or also called as Virasana. This works on the IT band muscle, the sides of the quadriceps muscle. You need to push your buttocks down in between the heels on the floor and stretch out the ankles and very gradually adjusting the back, move flat onto the mat. Stay there for a while. You might feel strain on the knee joints if you're not having healthy knees, or if you have too much of tight quadriceps. You must make sure that your muscles are ready for this stretch. It's not an easy stretch. It is quite challenging for me as well. I'm also indicating with the hand where I'm able to feel the stretch. I'm trying to keep the pelvis stable. I'm trying to keep the tailbone stable. Whatever natural curve is there in the tailbone, I'm trying to keep it. Just trying to calm down my mind in this. So much of tension is there in the stretch. So bringing the palms to Namaskara above the head, in front of the forehead, just allows my mind to calm down more and to build more endurance in the stretch. So try and hold this position until you feel you're calmed down completely. Then slowly we are going to head into deeper hip flexor stretch. So as you can see, I'm adjusting my hands and coming up and then using my hands below the buttocks, lengthening the tailbone completely, giving a posterior stretch, making my lower back flat on the floor. The knees might touch the floor or it might lift off from the floor, like mine is lifting off. I'm deliberately trying to lift so that I can give more of a shin bone stretch or the ankle stretch more. And then slowly, as I feel length in the muscle, as I feel better and better with deeper breaths, I try to drop down the knees to the floor and completely lie flat. Supta Virasana. It's a very relaxing stretch once you have a calm state of mind in the final posture. It's a very deep hip flexor stretch. This also strengthens and this also creates a lot of length in the muscle. It builds endurance in the body. Very gradually to come out of the pose from there. And then again moving to the resting position for a while. From here, we will be heading into some more stretches of the hamstring, Supta Padangusht Asana. So, supported leg raise using the hand to cough around, to cup around my calf muscles. I'm going to extend the hamstrings a little more beyond 90-degree. Allow the hands to pull my leg more closer to my torso, trying to keep the knee as straight as possible, or maybe a gentle softness if you feel too much of intensity of the stretch. We're going to repeat for at least 10 to 15 seconds on both the sides, holding the stretch. If you're not able to hold the stretch for a longer time, you can always repeat for 2 to 3 rounds. Make sure you take deep breaths, full yogic breaths when you're doing these stretches, and do not tense the body. From here, slowly to work on some more stability of the lower back muscles and glute strengthening, we head into the glute bridges from here. So slowly keeping the feet closer and having the knees a little apart, or if you don't feel that comfortable, just keeping the feet parallel to each other and the heels exactly below the knees. We squeeze the glutes up and down. You can take the pulses for maybe at least, if you're having time and if you're comfortable, for 30 rounds or minimum of 10 to 15 rounds here. Glute bridges is one of the best way to develop glute strength. This is one of the very basic stretches. There are many more variations in glute bridges. We can do one leg glute bridge, but I'm trying to keep it a little basic bridge because there is a lot of work which I am trying to do on the lower parts of the body. So I feel right now my body will be able to take the basic level of glute bridges. Very gradually I try and do say about 10 to 15 pulses so that I feel that my glutes are active. You can have a closer look and then stretch out the legs, and if there is any tension ongoing into your thigh muscles or leg muscles, just loosen it up a little bit. To make your back feel more comfortable and restored, you can add up restorative stretches in between, like I'm doing single leg twisting, grabbing the right knee and pushing it towards the left, and grabbing the left knee and pushing it towards the right. Also controlling the twist by keeping my upper back and head stable. You can do a single leg twisting, prepare for intestinal twist, that is Jatara Parivartanasana, called in classical Hatha Yoga form. Very gradually we come out of the single leg twist and then slowly we fold both the legs, come back into this bridging position. Of course, the staying time can be increased depending on the amount of restoration you want. And then slowly we move into intestinal twist or double leg twisting. This is going to work like magic if you find any strain on the lower back. Again, it's a restoration practice. I love to add deep stretches in between so that I can keep creating length. It's a very organic flow, what I'm going through in this practice. There's nothing designed particularly, so I'm trying to keep it absolutely organic, trying to listen to the signals, what I'm trying to get from the body, and as per that, designing my flow. It's very raw and it is very completely present in the moment practice. So take some rest, regulate your breath, feel your body, ease your body. And just see what signals you get from the body. And from here we come up to Navasana, boat pose, just a small transition. Boat pose activates the core muscles. Hold the boat pose for a while, at least maybe about 10 to 15 seconds, and then very gradually come back to hug your knees, crossing your legs. Lengthen the spine, lift the spine, hold the position for a while. Create good space in the vertebral column. Hugging the knees, crossing the legs to feel more comfortable and stretch in your outer glutes. And then very gradually we go into some rocking movements, crossing the legs only. Try to take a couple of rocks so that you're able to come back and land into Sukhasana or simple crossed legs position. Try to sit down for a while. Again, calming the mind, coming into this meditative posture for a few seconds will help you to come in the present moment. Pausing in between is the best way to find balance in your practice. Try to do the rocking also on the opposite side, crossing the opposite legs. This prepares your body for Padmasana. We are also going to do some butterfly stretches, which will help you to open up your inner groins and outer hips for Padmasana. Again, Padmasana is very quite challenging practice for me. As you go through the flow, you can see the struggle in my practice. I've mentioned I'm going to keep it completely raw and natural. Meditating here for a while in Sukhasana position, and then gradually and mentally preparing for the next pose. Taking deep breaths, lengthening through the spine, expanding through the chest, exhaling, relaxing the chest. Let us prepare the outer hips opening and the inner thighs opening in Baddha Konasana, bringing both the heels closer to the anus and the calf muscles closer to the hamstring muscles. Trying to flap your thighs in butterfly until you feel there is a lot of freedom in the inner thighs. And then slowly we start preparing for Padmasana. You need to have the outer hip opening. One more way of preparing to Padmasana is doing this cradle pose or outer hip stretch, or as you sit, the leg can be held at a figure four and swinged into swinging action we can give so that the outer hips can stretch here. This will prepare the outer hip opening. You need to grab the left leg over the right inner elbows, swing it a couple of times, and then place and fold the left leg below the right hip, or the other way. So you see I'm preparing it. As I've mentioned, Padmasana is a difficult pose. I'm trying to prepare more for the pose here. In the beginning days, I have not practiced Padmasana for a long time. Well, there is a big story behind it. Uh, for a year, I couldn't practice because I had gone through a leg accident where I had broken my leg, and that would be the reason. Probably my hips would have gone tight, and also in the right leg, I don't have ligaments. But I have slowly developed the practice to strengthen the quadricep muscles so that I don't feel discomfort in the knee joints. And maybe I was a little setback always to practice Padmasana. But then now I have made up my mind to regularly add it into the practice so that Padmasana doesn't become so challenging for me. I believe practice makes man perfect and there is no shortcut for practice. So we're going to do the same swinging action on the other side of the leg to open the other side of the hip, because for Padmasana both the sides of the hip should be open enough. You can do this for about 15 to 20 rounds. Before doing Padmasana also you can do, and then gradually you have to fold the other leg below the hip to come into this half Padmasana. Naturally there's a lot of tension getting created in my body, as you can see. I'm trying to readjust, I'm trying to calm myself down. I'm adjusting the hips, and then I try to open the sides of the ankles more and the sides of the shin bones more. And now my struggle starts to lift the other leg over the thigh. Also, for fat thigh women or persons, Padmasana is going to be a little challenging. I do have a little fatter thigh. Maybe that is also the reason. Then gradually I try to come into this Padmasana position. Again, bring my hands to the prayer position. I'm trying to calm myself down, but there's a lot of tension getting created in my outer hips. Also, maybe a little pressure on the knee joints. Soothing it completely by massaging. Couldn't stay for longer time, just released it. Patted my thigh completely on the floor, stretched out my ankles, relaxed for a while, bringing myself back together, trying to do Padmasana on the other side. So the other leg goes in, I lift and push it over the opposite thigh, open the hips, Padmasana with the right leg up and with the left leg slowly folding inside. The left knee has to open externally to open the outer hips. And then with a big leap and struggling and trying to really work, feeling as if my left leg is feeling heavier and heavier. So you can see the adjustments I'm doing here. These are all very organic adjustments, nothing much technically to tell anything about this. You have to go into the flow and experience it. Only the regular yoga practitioners can understand what exactly the body is trying to do here. What kind of adjustment and what kind of understanding is happening between the body and mind. Great. I'm able to put the left leg up and I'm adjusting, giving it a thought whether I'll be able to sustain, and if I'm able to sustain in Padmasana. Again, the prayer position, softening, breathing. And then using the arm support, slowly coming up on the knees, I try to go into the prone position. This is a very good posture if you have a lot of rounding of the back here. Very gradually, lying down on the stomach, I try to stretch my inner thighs. Hold on to the position for a while. This is a very good practice to stimulate your digestive system, strengthen your pelvic floor muscles. A good practice for migraine as well. You can see my hands are soothing the stretch below the hips, the outer hips, external rotation of the hips. It facilitates this posture. Prone position in Padmasana. I'm just enjoying this posture, staying here for a while, trying to sink into the posture very well. Adjusting the belly fat, trying to make the belly flat on the floor. And feeling the stretch in the lower back, in the outer glutes. And then slowly using my hands besides the chest, I come up, pressing through the floor. It's not an easy task. Slowly come up onto the knees. Very gradually try to sit up on the knees. Sorry, stand up on the knees. Trying to balance. Hopefully, I'm able to balance. And if I'm not able to balance, I might collapse onto the hips with the hand support. Going to release the Padmasana. Slowly, slowly find a place to pat out and relax the thighs. Just soothing the muscles by massaging the thighs here. And there is a thought that I need to try Padmasana on the other side so that I can go to the prone position once again. I need to experience the same kind of a stretch with the other leg on the thigh. Whenever we perform one asana on the right side, we need to really work it on the other side to bring balance, not only the physical balance but also the mental balance, the nervous system, the Ida, Pingala, Nadis. I know if you are getting bored through the video because I know it is very slow, you can always forward press button, but this side is too hard for me. Relaxing the mind, relaxing the nervous system, I try to press up and put both the legs in Padmasana, adjust the hips once again, trying to come up on the knees, trying to go into the prone position slowly and gradually so that I can open up the outer hips and enjoy the same kind of a stretch. Very slowly crawling through the forearms, I move down to the prone position. Stay there for a while. Trying to use my hands over those muscles to soothe the muscles, to just calm down the burning effect if at all it is too intense. The whole flow itself is very challenging for me. I always wanted to post the flow which is challenging for me. There's nothing like, you know, a particular pose that all the teachers can master. We have to work through the pose, very gradually build and develop the practice. Yeah, some of you can set a time frame for it. But again, my body, after healing my accident, post accident injuries and all, I've been able to do at least this practice with so much of ease, with this level of ease that I'm so proud of. And I give all the credit to this holistic approach towards my practice. the yoga practice. I'm going to head into Shavasana from here. Allow the body to completely restore and relax. Head into this trance position where the body absorbs my practice. Namaste, all of you, and I'll